They had the builder, they had the architect, they had bids on the well, and the septic test done, designs in hand, and a parcel they'd owned for 2.5 years. About a week before the final deposits went in, they walked away from building a home. Instead, they bought a house. Same neighborhood, same builder, 8 years old, and it cost them less than building the same home on the land they already owned. Here's the thing, they didn't do anything wrong. Building costs in this valley changed while they were planning, and by the time they got to the end of it, the numbers had flipped. So if you're looking at a piece of Montana and picturing what you'd build on it, there's a list of costs most people don't add up until you're already deep in the process. I'll go through it, and at the end of this, I'll show you what those clients figured out. Let's start with time, because time is the cost nobody puts a number on, and it moves every other number in this list. Let's say you buy a parcel this spring. How fast can you get to be living in it? Anywhere in the Gallatin Valley, a reputable builder is booking a year to 2 years out, and the surrounding towns run about the same. That's the wait just to break ground. Then add the design phase, the well and septic permits, the site plan, and a materials list that gets locked before anyone pours the foundation. All of this takes time, and it has to happen in order or you're going to lose your spot. So when clients tell me they want to build a home, I give them the same number every single time. Plan for 2 to 3 years from the day you buy your land to the day you move in your home. If you're buying land this spring and planning to move in this fall, I'll tell you right now, it's not happening. Here's what matters more than the wait itself. Everything you priced at the start has to get priced again before you start building. Material prices change, labor prices change, and if you have financing, your rates change too. The second thing people get wrong surprises them more than the timeline, and it's what you're allowed to do with the land once you own it. People come to Montana with a picture in their head. Wide open space, your own rules, nobody telling you where the barn goes. Then they read the covenants on a parcel they assumed was totally wide open. Between county land use rules, subdivision review, and covenants recorded on the deed, a lot of parcels out here come with guidelines attached. Minimum square footage, and a clock giving you 12 to 18 months to finish once you break ground. So what if you want the version where nobody tells you anything? You can find it, but you'll pay for it. Land with no restrictions on it, anywhere close to town, it's hard to come by out here, and that scarcity lands right in the price. If you find information like this useful, please subscribe. I put out videos like this about buying all over Southwest Montana. Now, let's get to the ground, because water and septic decide whether a parcel even works at all. Outside city services, you're drilling a well, and what it costs comes down to how deep you go. So the first thing I do is look up what the neighbors hit. Montana keeps a public well log database, and it's better than most people realize. Pull the wells around your parcel and you'll see how deep they went and also what flow they got. There's two numbers that really matter. Depth sets your cost because you're paying by the foot, and out here that runs anywhere from about 100 feet to up to 1,000. On the flatter valley floor, you're usually toward the low end, and it climbs once you get into the foothills and the mountains. The rule of thumb I give clients is $90 to $100 a foot, drilling and the equipment together. I had a client drill this year and it landed right around $94. And that was also about a 900-foot deep well. That price can move, so you need to price it fresh whenever you're shopping. Then there's the flow rate, measured in gallons per minute, and that decides whether you can run a shower and a dishwasher at once or even irrigate your home. And what happens if you drill and don't find water? It does happen, and you're paying for that drilling either way. That's why the lookup is worth an afternoon before you're under contract. Septic in our area gets sized by the number of bedrooms, so the house you want decides how big the drain field has to be. There are required separation distances on top of that between the septic and your well, your property lines, and any surface water. The state and the county set those regulations, and they get updated all the time. So you need to look up the current regulations specific to the land you're interested in. Then your soil has to call what's called a Perc test, and ground that drains poorly means a bigger septic system or a different system altogether. And what it costs to put in that system swings widely by parcel. So you need to get a quote on the actual property. Next, here's something almost nobody does before they buy. Take a piece of paper and put the house where you want it for the view. Put the well the required distance away. The drain field then sits its own distance from that well on ground that drains with room for a replacement field later. Then sketch the driveway in and keep all of it off the steep face of the land, out of the wet ground and outside of setbacks. I've watched buyers find out that on 5 acres, all of that only fits in one corner, and that corner is the one spot with no view. It's a couple hours with a pencil, and I've seen it change which parcel somebody bought. One more cost to keep in mind, and this one is pure research. If the nearest power line is a ways off, you're going to pay to bring it in, and what that runs depends on the distance, the terrain, and where on the parcel your house sits. And here's a piece that people frequently miss. If a neighbor already paid to pull service part way out, you're typically compensating them for what they've already done. So call the utility service, they'll ask for the address, and find out what's already in the ground around that land. And just because there's service nearby doesn't mean you're going to get service on your land. So back to the clients I opened with, because what they did in the last week is why I made this video. They had every number ready and they added it up. The land, what they carried on it, the site work, the utilities, the build itself, and where the price had drifted while they waited. Then they just did a quick search for homes that already existed with the same specifications, same neighborhood, same builder, 8 years old, finished, landscaped, and connected. Put the two totals side by side, and the existing house came in lower than building their own on the land they already owned. So they bought that house. And these were people who did more homework than most buyers ever do. They still got that answer because of what it costs to build here now. So do that comparison before you buy the land. Price the land plus everything we covered today, then price the finished house you'd be building. And that conclusion and answer you come to, it's not permanent. And I want to be very clear about that. Building costs and resale prices move in separate directions, and they've been moving apart recently. This area has grown a lot since 2020, and construction costs climbed right alongside it. So today, it's often cheaper to buy a home than build the same home again. But give it a few years, and who knows what that difference could look like. What you're watching for is a break-even point. What it costs to build per square foot against what a finished similar home sells for. When those get close, building makes sense again because you get exactly what you want for the same money. There's also a version in between that a lot of people overlook. Inside Bozeman and Belgrade, production builders work at a scale a one-off custom build can't touch. And a lot of them will do semi-custom work off their specific floor plans, which gets you closer to what you pictured than you'd expect. I've had a number of clients recently go that route, and they are glad they did. And the other side of that is building from scratch is still the right call when the house you want isn't for sale anywhere, or when the land itself is the entire reason you're buying. The land you buy and the house you build are both wealth decisions, and the right one grows your money and fits your life at the same time. I'm Chase Heiland, a real estate advisor and broker here in Bozeman. I made the move to Bozeman in the Gallatin Valley myself in 2016, and I work with busy professionals on both sides of this decision: the equity, timing, and long-term return, and then the space and the life you're building. The Montana Move method is how I guide every client through it. I put together a free buyer's guide that walks you through your own situation. There's a link in the description, as well as a link to book a call if you'd like to discuss what this looks like. And if you're just listening, look up Live in Bozeman because I have all this on my website too. Tell me in the comments what you'd build if the land worked out and where you'd be looking. And before you make an offer out here, watch the new construction video next. There's one thing builders write into the contract that most buyers sign without reading, and it decides who pays what when something goes wrong later. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.